I think the amount of celebrities that chose to attend TGL presented by SoFi was very flattering for us, and that they would give their time and that they would talk to us. Whether it was Serena joining the broadcast, whether it was Derek Jeter and Big Poppy there,
Yes.
having a little fun at a Boston New York match. You mentioned Eli Keegan Michael Key, who came from New York. Boston bringing Niall Horn and Noah Khan, two icons of music who really connect with the younger generation. All of these teams brought different ambassadors, and some are investors in their teams, limited partners. Some are limited partners in like I said, teams or investors in the league, and it's just awesome. Andre Iguodala coming with the Bay Golf Club. I could go on and on about the different
Yeah.
celebrities who were there. And my favorite was probably Celine Dion. Who knew that the world needed Marty Smith and Celine Dion to sing a duet? But we did need it, and we're really glad that we brought that moment to everybody.
And welcome back, everybody. The big show brought to you by Casa de Campo in the Dominican Republic. The late, great Pete Dye designed 4 incredible courses at Casa down in the DR, and they reopened Teeth of the Dog. That was his favorite. His ashes are sprinkled on the 7th hole, by the way. The great Jerry Pate, his company has been redoing it for the last year. It reopens in December. I'll be down, but I urge you, golf AK, maybe a golf buddy trip. Go to Casa de Campo. All right, our next guest, as we've been talking about the Indoor Golf League, TGL, gets ready to tee off its 2nd season right after Christmas. Jeff Neubarth is heavily involved. He's the VP of content for TMRW Sports. That's Tomorrow Sports. It's the Tomorrow Golf League. Jeff, great to see you, my friend. Are you pumped up about season number 2?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be here before we know it.
Yes.
Was actually just at the venue just before starting this interview with you, and already, kind of getting our hands in there, getting dirty, and getting ready, and getting everything set up for next year.
Yeah, the SoFi Center, for those listening, and you've probably seen it on television, it is the coolest building. When you drive up, it looks like maybe an NBA basketball arena, and then you go inside, and what they've done inside with the simulator and the green and the stands, which forms a horseshoe, is really phenomenal. Jeff, I know you've been there a lot. You're there on a daily basis, but that's a pretty spectacular building that you guys have put together.
Yeah, I mean, it's really one of one.
Yes.
And, it serves such a unique purpose when you have a simulator that is 5 stories tall
Right.
and LED ribbons that kind of encircle it. And really, the thing that's the most surprising for a lot of people is how large the building is, but yet how intimate it is for its seating. Because you mentioned our seating, the horseshoe shape, but the worst seat in the house is your 4 rows off the field.
Right.
So, think about that when you go to some of these larger venues, whether it's football, basketball, hockey, etc. For a primetime sporting event, you literally can't get better seats and better viewing experience than we offer at TGL presented by SoFi.
Yeah, it's on the back of Palm Beach College. In fact, Jeff, I live down there, and the first night I came, it was Tiger's debut, and I thought the traffic was going to be horrendous, and it was. And so I rode my bicycle. And it actually was a good plan, Jeff, as I rode the bike and made it to SoFi. And the crowd, let me just say this about the crowd. They were fired up. I mean, and it was real, Jeff. The excitement inside the center when the crowd gets going, and it gets the players going too. It was palpable. I really enjoyed that. The enthusiasm and electricity was there inside the arena.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the secret sauce is unlike, traditional golf, but just like every other primetime sporting event, which is what we're much more akin to, the crowd gets loud, and the crowd is a part of it, and the players hear that, the players feed off that, the players feel that energy. And one of the highlights for me was Sahith Theegala, who literally was saying, he's like, I'm a club to club and a half longer in here because I'm so darn pumped up and the juices get flowing, and you have all this adrenaline that you just can't experience in an environment where everyone else is asking you to be quiet.
Yeah, it was fun. December 28th, we're embarking on Thanksgiving. Christmas will be here before you know it, and you guys tee off December 28th. That'll be on ABC and ESPN. In fact, all the matches will be on those 2 platforms along with ESPN2. It's the Atlanta Drive against the New York Golf Club, a rematch of the finals a year ago. The Atlanta Drive won the championship. And Jeff, it was interesting. I thought as the season grew, the players, kind of like the spectators, were kind of feeling things out. But in the end, it got very competitive, and I sensed the guys on Atlanta were pretty fired up to be the champions in that inaugural season.
Yeah, I think that this kind of followed a formula that we've seen before, where the first couple outings of the season, everyone's kind of feeling each other out. They're kind
Right.
of getting used to the environment, getting used to the surroundings. And as you go further and further and deeper into the season, the competitive juices come out, the competitive fire comes out. These guys don't want to lose to each other in anything. And this was yet another example of, a lot of the guys who played in that championship, other than Billy Horschel, who lives, in Jacksonville, which isn't that far away. Everyone else is a local, and they see each other all the time. And I know it because I've seen it, that Justin Thomas is very proud to tell Xander Schauffele every time he sees him that he's the SoFi champ and SoFi Cup champion, and that the Atlanta Drive was victorious. And that means a lot to these guys. And I think that what makes them so great at everything they do is this competitive fire and this competitive drive. And we really saw it come out, particularly the second night of the finals, when it got a little heated, between the two teams, which is what you want, because it just shows that they're competing at the highest level.
Jeff, you've been in the business a long time and award-winning producer at Golf Channel, ESPN, et cetera. And now you've worked your way to this really phenomenal product. The ratings grew as the season went on. And obviously you guys have gone back and looked at things. I mean, you're opposite college basketball, some huge games. Right there as the NFL playoffs were going. But I think as the season went on, the ratings did get better. You had to be pleased with the ratings rise at the end.
Yeah, I think the number one metric for me, for our team, was just improvement from show to show.
Gotcha.
And if you watch our first show and then you watched our 19th show, you saw it get better. But the one constant in terms of the numbers of our viewer was the young age that we had. Other than the National Basketball Association, we were the youngest sport out there. So basically the second youngest televised sport of anything was golf, indoor golf. So that's pretty cool. And it really, showed me that we're onto something in terms of getting a generation that may not want to watch 4 rounds of a tournament, but is willing to come and watch 2 hours of golf in prime time, where action moves so quick, and there's a big video game element, which we know that a lot of younger generation. I have 3 kids, and they're much more apt to watch TGL than they are to watch a lot of other sports on TV, just simply because of the pace. So that was really exciting, and I'm hoping to build off of that young audience that we started to develop a following from last year, and see us kind of double down on that.
Yeah, you did. That's for sure. And listen, I'm an older guy, and listen, inside the arena. Yeah, I loved it. I really did. Now, did it translate through the TV? At times, I didn't think so, but I agree with you. By the end of the season, I thought the whole product improved dramatically.
Yeah, look, it was the players getting more comfortable, them not having to think about what they're doing, them just more being able to perform at the highest level without having to kind of, think about things that just traditionally don't think about. I think for us as a broadcast team, we got better. We got more comfortable. We figured out what worked, what didn't work. Let's do more of the things that worked. Let's do less of the things that didn't work. And, look, it's two completely different experiences. Both are great. And I would encourage anybody who has not been to a match, and if you can get down and you're one of the lucky, people that can get into the SoFi Center, do it.
Right.
I would also encourage you to watch it on TV, because they're both great experiences, and they're both going to show you something that's a little bit different from each other, but both of them are definitely worth checking out, particularly if you really love the personalities of the golfers, because that's what you got to see more in TGL than in any other, other place you could see these golfers is, they're all mic'd up. They all have these same earpieces in that I have right here. We're having real conversations. The players were really breaking down for us what they were doing, and we really got to kind of see them talk us through everything that they do that we normally don't get to see in that way.
You changed the hammer rule too, midway through the season, something like that. And for those listeners, it's a big deal as you challenge the other team. That was a big rule change, and I thought that really helped the product, and it added more drama, at least in my perspective.
Yeah, I think that was one of those where I was really, really proud of the organization. So there aren't a lot of leagues that in the middle of the season would just say, let's make a massive rule change.
Right.
And we did. And one of the things of not being steeped in hundreds of years of this is how we've always done it was it allowed us to make this change, through the season. And we have a process. It wasn't like we just all of a sudden one day came in off a whim and said, hey, we're going to make a change here. But we ran, hundreds of thousands of simulations using some of our partners of our data analytics teams. And we really checked multiple rules, not just the one that we ended up on, which we truly believe was the best one, but we ran a bunch of different scenarios. And we also listened to the players, and we listened to the fans. And I thought that showed something about us and who we are and who we're going to be, is that we are going to listen and we're going to, be following the tone and following, kind of what the conversation is about us. And we're going to be able to react to it if we think it's a positive. And that was unquestionably a positive that really allowed our second half of our season to be significantly more competitive than the first half.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. There was anticipation, like he's got to throw it. He's got to throw the hammer. Hammer's got to be, hammer down, right? And I thought the announcers got into it, and it added an element much needed. And I love it, the fact that you guys go back in the think tank and you really, it runs its course, right? It isn't just a knee-jerk reaction. So I appreciate where you're coming from on that. Talk about the changes inside the SoFi, though, because I was reading the green, which really is the coolest thing in person as it's rotating around, and you can change the humps and the bumps in the green. But the physical green has changed, right?
Yeah, I mean, similar to many great golf courses that get, kind of changes to them throughout the years, is we reacted to what we saw on the field of play, and we had an opportunity to make it better, so we did. So our green, as has been documented, is significantly better. It's about bigger. It's about 1,500 square feet bigger, about 5,000, a little more than 5,000 square feet of putting surface. So in our opinion, some of the best content from a TGL match is when the players are putting, because one person has to putt and there's two other people out there who are helping them with the read, and you get this great conversation. And then you have the other team going like, hey, if they run this 6 feet by, we're going to hammer them right here and make that 6-footer come back, significantly more exciting. I think that was part one. I think part two is reducing some of the slope that was inside the green. It is just going to make it a little more realistic. The slope was a little aggressive before, and this kind of just takes a little bit out of that, but it's still really challenging. If you're on the wrong tier of the green, you're penalized for it, and that's what it should be. In addition to that, the bunkers got completely redone. So last year there were 3 bunkers. This year there's only 2. But the faces of them have kind of that mini sod wall that you'll see over in Scotland or Ireland. So they look really cool, but also for playability, that took away some of those edges that were just a little too challenging to play indoors. And we now have 12 hole locations where last year we had 7. So we
Wow.
can take a hole and we can now come up with a new hole location, a new spot of the green that you've never seen before, and add additional challenge to the players, which is great.
Yeah, I thought the bunker, and it seemed like the players never really knew how the ball was going to react out of the bunker. I mean, it was just
Yeah, I
kind of
mean, I
one of those
think
things.
it's tough because the players have a limited schedule that they can come in there and practice and get ready. So how much of that time are you going to spend, hitting in the bunkers? So I think the new bunkers will be a little easier for them, but still just as penal if you miss. You're gonna, if you short side yourself in those bunkers, you're gonna have a really difficult up and down. And we saw that in the championship match when Ricky Fowler had a really difficult up and down that he didn't get a chance to make, because Billy Horschel, of course, made that incredible putt to really win the SoFi Cup.
Now, the teams, obviously, we mentioned it, the Atlanta Drive, New York Golf Club. That'll be the first match. And then you have the Boston Common, the Jupiter Links, my team, Los Angeles National Golf Club, and the Bay Golf Club. So the teams remain the same for this year. Could be future expansion. Most of the rosters are the same. And obviously, everybody wants to know about, Rory, wow, winning the Masters. That'll be kind of cool, having the Masters champ. What about Tiger, though? Because obviously the back surgery he had, well, I guess about a month ago, pretty serious stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you know as much as I do. I just
Yeah.
read everything just like you do.
Yeah.
So I hope to see Tiger Woods back in TGL this year. I hope to see Tiger Woods back on the PGA Tour and at the majors this year. I don't think that's any different from anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, it's all health related. I understand. And tell me this, because I thought it was cool last year. I was there the night Tony Finau came in, and he filled in. And afterwards in the press conference, Tony was like, wow, this is really cool. I had no idea. And I remember, he was messing around with Serena and the music and dancing, and the time almost expired. But will we have those instances where the teams will bring in maybe, what would you call him, a free agent, maybe a one tournament signing?
It's a pinch hitter, and
Pinch
I don't
hitter.
know if we will or not this year. Each team has a roster of 4 players. They need 3 to play in each TGL match. So each week's the teams set their lineup and set their available players, and they have the opportunity to use the players that they have to fill out their rosters.
I don't know. I thought the whole atmosphere was neat. When I saw Serena Williams in one of the owners' boxes, and Eli Manning and Arthur Blank. I mean, these are some pretty important people in the sports world, some legends in other sports. Jeff, that's pretty cool. And of course, you have some baseball guys, because spring training will be going on as the season evolves.
Yeah, I mean, I think the amount of celebrities that chose to attend TGL presented by SoFi was very flattering for us, and that they would give their time and that they would talk to us. Whether it was Serena joining the broadcast, whether it was Derek Jeter and Big Poppy there
Yes.
having a little fun at a Boston New York match. You mentioned Eli Keegan Michael Key, who came from New York. Boston bringing Niall Horn and Noah Khan, two icons of music who really connect with the younger generation. All of these teams brought different ambassadors, and some are investors in their teams, limited partners. Some are limited partners in like I said, teams or investors in the league, and it's just awesome. Andre Iguodala coming with the Bay Golf Club. I could go on and on about the
Yeah.
different celebrities who were there. And my favorite was probably Celine Dion. Who knew that the world needed Marty Smith and Celine Dion to sing a duet? But we did need it, and we're really glad that we brought that moment to everybody.
All right, Jeff, as we say goodbye, and you've been in the sports production business for a long time. You know how
It just
important
means
it is.
I'm old, but I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
well, me too. But as you segue from season one to season two, obviously season two is very important because you learn from what you did, what was good, what was not so good. You've obviously made changes for season two. So this is a big season for TGL.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think that we would say that this season's bigger than last season in terms of we have to do a lot of education, but it's the next thing in front of us, and I'm really lucky to kind of lead a team of over 100 professionals between our technicians, between our announcers, between our other production folks, and every single one of us wants to bring the fan at home the best show that we can every single time we go out there. So yeah, we take it very serious. We've been working on it. My brain doesn't stop working. Most nights after a show would end, I would come home and watch it. Then I'd watch it a second time, and somewhere before the sun would come up, I'd take a little nap and then get up and be excited to do it. I mean, it's really the best job in the world, getting to work with the 24 of the best golfers in the world, put us in an entertaining facility, have some incredible holes, and really try to entertain the fan.
Yeah, well said, Jeff. And I can't wait. I can't wait to be down there. And outside, and listen, as we've described it, the SoFi Center is really cool. But outside, where you have the production trucks lined up, I mean, this is an extravagant sports production. I hope people realize that there's a lot going on in this production. It's not just golf. I mean, there's a lot of factors going on for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that we're doing, but it's also everything that we do has kind of a purpose and a reason, and we've really refined it and tried to make it everything as good as we can do. And some things last year that weren't up to the standard are going to be better this year because we put the necessary attention to get them there. Other things that worked really well last year, we're going to continue to do those. And we
Jeff,
can't wait.
yeah, I
December
can't.
28th on
Yes,
ABC, 3 o'clock.
I'll be there Christmas with the family and then to SoFi 3 days later. Jeff, thank you so much, my friend. See you soon.
All right, take care.